Okay, it's recording. Guys, how's it going? So first things first, I apologize for how exhausted I look. This morning, I ended up going to the gym and then straight from there to help Dan move a bunch of stuff. We had a bunch of random creature stuff that was still in his garage. So I helped him move all that up to the house. So very exhausted, but I knew that I possible. It has just kind of been a whirlwind these past few days. We originally weren't planning to announce it so soon because like I had said, we wanted to get that other video together, but then with the RTX debacle that went down, kind of kicked that in overdrive. Figured we should probably get it announced ASAP. So it's been kind of hard to find the time. But I mean, this video is going to be tough for me in general because I feel like there's just so much that I want to say or that I'm trying to cover, but I just feel like it's been kind of a mental fight with me the past few days because I feel like I'm never going to be able to address everything, or I'm going to forget it, or something's going to happen and I'm not going to remember to address something. But I figured that I can just sit down and just ramble for a while. I don't have a ton of time. And I definitely won't be able to edit this video. I'm just not gonna have the time to do so. I'm just gonna upload whatever comes out of me sitting down here and talking to my microphone and camera. But to begin everything, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone for all of your support. It has been just an insane ride, an insane journey over these past few years that I've just changed so much through, and it's been incredible and tough and amazing and scary and just all these other adjectives that I can't think of right now because it's just so hard to describe because it's been such a roller coaster. But all in all, it's been incredible. And just to have fans through all of it to support us has been amazing as well. So I really do appreciate you guys for everything that you've said and done, and it was great to really, for the final, not the final time, but to see a bunch of people at RTX and just get that reaffirmation of how much we are helping people. Because, you know, all in all, from the beginning, it was always about just having fun and, you know, just a bunch of weirdos making videos and stuff. So, I mean, with all that positivity comes a lot of negativity. I think one thing people have always wanted me to kind of go out of my way to address is a lot of the stuff that's been said over the years. Because indirectly or not, you know, I've made a lot of mistakes, and, you know, a lot of them were definitely my fault. And, you know, I don't even know. Mistakes are mistakes. I guess it really doesn't matter whose fault it is. But in a lot of the situations, I would just stay quiet, and I felt like it was always just as, you know, I mean, I always had the title of leader in the group, starter of the group and stuff like that. So I always felt like I was the one that was just forever going to receive all the flack in most situations. And, you know, I was totally okay with that because a lot of the times it just ended up meaning that there was just a lot of, you know, bad situations I had to deal with that just kind of led to me getting attacked on different fronts and stuff. But it's just been one of those things where, you know, and a lot of people, I mean, it's the internet. The internet is just a conglomerate of a bunch of people that, I don't even know if I'm using the right word, but just a group of a bunch of people that, you know, and there's always that little section of people that are always going to find the smallest things to nitpick and or get angry about. And when something happens or comes out, depending on, you know, and it's happened to us over the years, depending on what it is, if the full story is not completely aired out in full from both sides, there's always a lot of reading in between the lines and speculation that's always happened. And it's just kind of led to me getting attacked thoroughly throughout pretty much anything that's happened. And if it means me just taking the flack for it for a little bit and it turning out to calm down better, then, you know, I'm okay with it. So I'm kind of used to it at this point, but yeah, there's just been a lot of stuff over the years, and I'm trying to kind of figure out where I'm going with what I was saying. Cause I was saying, let's see, about all the negativity, you know, that's been arising. And I think the main thing is about it. And, you know, I mean, no one deserves blatant hate and, you know, vicious attacks. But I am human, and I've made many mistakes over the years. A lot of which were, you know, worse. Some were which were worse than others. Some of them were unintentional. But it was a huge learning experience. I mean, we were a bunch of very young guys that got together to form the Creatures, and we really didn't know what we were doing. There hadn't really been anything of that sort that had happened on YouTube yet, and we were just kind of doing what we thought was right. You know, we got the first house together, and, you know, that definitely taught us all a lot about each other. And, you know, from there we decided to start moving on to bigger and better things. You know, a lot of people didn't like the business route, but it was more so, it wasn't so much a business thing. It was more so an organizational thing that we suffered with. None of us were very organized. And I always say it, and I think I'd mentioned it in the update video that we had done for the hub a while back, is, you know, no one was wholeheartedly focused on making creature stuff. And when there was somebody that was able to put their full time into it, it seemed like no one else was. So it was kind of a bouncing back and forth, like, and it's understandable. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, because everyone had their own channels. So it was a balancing factor of, you know, coordinating all these schedules to, you know, people were working on their own channels. They're making stuff for the hub occasionally. There's a lot of unorganization, especially up front in the beginning of everything. And, you know, that's just the way it was. I mean, there was some charm to that I think a lot of people liked, but when it came down to it, it just wasn't practical because it led to a lot of problems. There was, you know, I was always the one that was dealing with the landlords, which turned into some pretty interesting encounters throughout the years, whether it be at the different houses we were at or the office. So that's always been fun. That's, I mean, I can address that more later, but yeah, it was just, you know, it was just a bunch of kids basically that just didn't know what we were doing, and we were just having fun with it. And it definitely, problems arose, and we dealt with them the best that we knew how, and no one's perfect, and that's just the way everything went down. You know, throughout the years, there's just plenty of instances where things probably should have been done a lot better and a lot more thought out, but they didn't. And, you know, we're sitting here now today with what we've dealt with, or what we've playing with the cards we've been dealt, or whatever. I don't even know some of those metaphors. But yeah, I mean, it was, regardless of how it happened, it taught everyone a lot. And I think everyone that was a part of the group throughout those times always grew so much from all of this. And it was, you know, a very special time. But, you know, it was also, it brought me through probably one of the darkest times of my life. I had gotten married, and the demanding schedule of a job as such did bring me, I mean, there was other reasons that contributed to it. I was very young at the time and probably shouldn't have been committing to something like that. It led to me getting a divorce. But yeah, a majority of that was stemmed from the fact that I was very, very much a part of the hub. And that, you know, was probably one of the toughest times in my life. And it was, you know, it's always so hard because, you know, people always want me to open up. I don't know. I've always just kind of, you know, I don't get affected by things so much. Everyone has a tough time reading YouTube comments because there's so much, you know, negativity and ridiculousness in there. But for some reason I'm able to still read them. And even though there's a lot of people out there that kind of attack and, you know, lash out, I've always been able to do that. So, you know, emotionally it's been a journey as well, trying to figure that out, because it's always been kind of hard to express myself to everyone online in such a way that, you know, makes them feel that I'm opening up. So, I mean, this is probably the most I've ever done, because I finally feel like this whole weight has been lifted off my shoulders, and I'm able to talk about everything without, you know, feeling like I'm affecting anyone else in the group or the company or anything like that. So yeah, I mean, after that had happened, probably one of the biggest things that I've gotten flack for is, me getting involved in dating Stephanie, and excuse me, and it shouldn't have happened. It was wrong, and I very much so admit that it was against the rules and shouldn't have done it. But it happened, and we fell in love, and she was very instrumental in getting me through that very tough time in my life. It was a very, I mean, she got me through a very hard time when I had just gotten out of the divorce stuff and was in a very dark place, the worst I'd ever been, because it's hard to explain, but I don't get to that level very easily. So it was very strange for me to be, because I've never had I've been very fortunate enough that I've never had an extremely traumatizing, anything very traumatizing in my life up until that point, which is a good and bad thing, because it doesn't prepare you for, the real vicious stuff that can happen in life. So she was very instrumental in getting me through that. And it was a mistake I made, that we shouldn't have broken the rules like we did, but we fell in love, and that's what it stands at. But that was a part of why everything happened. The split, we were all very much at very high tensions throughout all this time. It had gotten to a point where there was a lot of fatigue around the office. A lot of us were kind of, just not getting along too well. So I felt like it was, kind of that last straw thing that happened. And I understand, I'm not saying, like I continue to always say, I'm a human being. I've always made mistakes, and I'll always own up to them, because, there's no point in lying and saying you haven't made mistakes before in your past, because any mistake that you do make is a chance for growth. And I've grown a lot over the years from different mistakes. But I can say that I do apologize. I've apologized to anyone that has felt that was a bad thing. Because, like I was saying, it was against what we had put as far as rules and stuff, and it wasn't it wasn't, the best thing that could have happened, but it was a very amazing thing that happened in my life. It's now what it is. I don't even know what I'm trying to say here, but anyway, yes, that did happen, and I can say I apologize, to anyone that felt it did affect anything greatly, but yeah. So that everything that happened with the split, I've always ever wished Couch Hop the absolute best in everything that they do. For some reason, there was obviously a lot of flack that came me and Dan's way after the split had happened, for causing the breakup. I think a big part of it, and going back to kind of the landlord thing, part of the things that had stemmed from me rejecting ideas wasn't out of malice or hate. It was purely out of the fact that I was constantly dealing with landlords, and a lot of these ideas just didn't fly, because we got quite a bit of we had to talk to some lawyers after the bath bomb video, let's just say that, because they were trying to let us know how very irresponsible doing something like that was. Granted, it was an amazing video and really cool and quite the experience, but it could have gone very bad, and he just wanted to, the landlord wanted to make sure we weren't getting anything like that again, so that it wouldn't cause something really bad. So that was kind of where I was at. I was like, let's be careful, and so I did reject ideas, and I was very careful around that. But like I was saying, at the time, we were all kind of high strung. Some things were we're just all getting burnt out, and every little thing, whether it's me rejecting ideas and stuff like that, would lead to a lot more of a problem. And so yeah, that's definitely something that kind of fell in there, was I would turn down a lot of stuff just because I was very mindful of trying to keep the the landlord off of our back and stuff. But so yeah, and that everyone seems to think we're always so mad at them, and it's like, no, I'm glad they were able to branch off and go try something new and be able to kind of continue their craziness elsewhere, because, you know, it's made for some awesome stuff that they've made and built an amazing fan base around it. But then let's see. And then, yeah, a lot of people gave us, me and Dan, a lot of flack for trying to continue. And I didn't really think that was too fair, because, you know, we had an office lease that we still had to fulfill. We had a bunch of employees that I couldn't just let go, and I didn't want to just end it. And I was, you know, we were still having fun. That was what was important. And, you know, I feel like there's always so many fans out there that are, every single time I go to conventions or get a really nice message online, there's some really pivotal, we've had some very pivotal effects in people's lives throughout the years. And whenever stuff is happening or there's a lot of negativity, that's my driving force through all this, is knowing that there's kids out there that are suffering through some very, very bad stuff, or some really crippling depression or anxiety, or, you know, or parents are going through divorce, you know, stuff that, and sometimes even worse. There was a mom and her kids at RTX. It was 2 years ago at this point, or a year and a half ago or something like that. It was at the last one, and they had lost their dad, and their, you know, whole thing was their family would get around and watch our videos. And, you know, I'd always think of people like that when it came to it, and I knew that it was very essential that we kept going. And it was fun to do. It was a great way to make friends, you know, and, you know, meet new employees and stuff. And yeah, so I didn't want to give up. And, you know, there's a lot of just negativity around it, and just pushing through that, knowing that those people were out there that still did enjoy our content and wanted to see us succeed. So that brought us into, you know, this year, where we just kept going, and, you know, got the new house and everything, which led to eventually the YouTube ad apocalypse just crippling us, and it just, you know, it led to us not being able to do anything, because nothing was making money anymore. So it was, you know, we couldn't do it. We had to try and focus on our own channels. And, you know, that led to us eventually, you know, it kind of came down to it, and we're just like, you know what, it's time. Another thing that had kind of kicked that off was I got a job offer for my dream job, pretty much, is working in the Unreal Engine. And I you know, we talked to Dan, and we're just like, you know, I have a feeling it's just time to put it to rest. So that's what we decided to do. And then, you know, it's sad, and it really kind of sucks, but at the same time, I think it really is kind of opening up a new chapter of what is to come, because there's just like, it's just incredible what this has done over the past few years. I mean, just meeting so many new people, and even throughout everything happening with members leaving, we still have eventually gotten back together, and I'm really excited to get in contact. We've already started poking around and trying to get in contact with everyone to make this mini documentary thing, because I think it's going to be really special. It's going to be fun, but it just created so many awesome relationships, and really taught a lot of people a lot of valuable lessons throughout the years. And it's heartbreaking, because I know, like I said, there's always people out there that are so dependent on really using this entertainment for very good reasons. So all in all, like, it's very sad, but I feel like there is also a lot of good that came out of this. I mean, it's a lot of people grew up with us, and it's just, I'm very, you know, proud of what we did, and I hope all the other guys that were ever a part of it are also proud. I can't thank all the employees enough for everything they did for us, all the crap we put them through. It's been a wild ride, and, you know, a lot of people apologize and, you know, for all the hate I receive. And if I could, you know, if all the hate gets funneled to me so no one has to deal with it, I'm completely okay with that because no one else deserves it. I was the one that did do a majority of the mess ups and mistakes, and you know, it's just because I'm human and I don't, you know, feel like anyone else deserves anything. And if it just means me kind of soaking it up and you know, keeping it from everyone else, I'm okay with that. But man, it's crazy to think about. Like, it's just been such a wild ride. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to stall right here because I'm trying to think back to see if I missed anything in particular. Because, I mean, a lot of people want me to address a bunch of things, but I just feel like I'm missing a bunch. But I think a majority of the things can just be, you know, I've changed so very much through this experience. I met a lot of good friends. I met the love of my life. I, you know, had a very interesting few years just, you know, learning some stuff that was hard as well, which, you know, both in business and in life. And I'd like to think that throughout all this and by the end of it, we can all still go back and reminisce and all be friends. And I think that, you know, I am just so overwhelmed by how much, you know, support we've gotten over the 7-8 years that this has happened. Sorry, I just kicked my desk. But yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. It's crazy to think that something that I put so much into is, you know, kind of, you know, the chapter's closing, or the book is closing, but then a new book is right here, new chapter. You know, Dan's going on to, you know, continue his streaming stuff. He, you know, over the past few months, he's starting to build that up quite a bit. And I highly recommend you guys check it out. He's, you know, obviously very entertaining and, you know, deserves a ton of support. And you can, you know, his Twitch stuff is all over the place, and he has a consistent schedule, which brings me to my stuff as well. My plan is to get into streaming stuff again and recording stuff, but I don't know exactly what my schedule is. So if you're subscribed to me on Twitch, don't renew until I can figure this crap out, because now that I'm working a full-time job, it's very draining to come home from a full-time job and then stream on top of that. So I really got to kind of figure that one out, because I still want to make content here and there and, you know, stream as much as I can just to keep in contact with you guys, because you guys have been as much of a part of my life over the past 7-8 years as I have of yours. So I feel like I can't ever abandon it. I can't just say I'm leaving. I'm going to do my best to stick around as much as possible. So stay tuned for that. As for my job, I'm going to give more information on that as time goes on. But like I said, I'm working in the Unreal Engine. I'm doing what I learned to do. I bought a bunch of books when I was a kid, and I always used to talk about UDK and static meshes and all that. And I'm finally in that, and it's a dream come true, really, to be able to kind of shift over into that. So I'm still in the game industry, and like I said, I'll get you guys more information as time goes on. Oh man, it's crazy stuff, but you know, it's just one of those things that it's just life. I mean, I'm trying to think if I've missed anything, because I feel like I'm never going to be able to do this subject justice, because it was such a huge part of my life over the past while that, you know, putting it down is just so shocking, and I feel like I really haven't completely come to terms with it yet. But like I said, I really do appreciate everything you guys have done for me, for us, and I cannot thank anyone that's ever been a part of it, member-wise or employee-wise. And, you know, to everyone that is attacking, you know, me or anyone else, you know, I'm sorry. I really do apologize, and I'm only human, and I've made mistakes, but I feel like, you know, I've learned from everything that I've done, and this has just been a huge learning experience, and I feel like I'm rambling more and more now, but I just, I don't know how to wrap it up really, to be honest. And I don't want to miss anything. So yeah, I mean, I'd say, I'm trying to think, because it's just allowed me, like, it's just crazy to think about what this has allowed us to do, because we're just a bunch of 20-year-olds that ended up like being able to travel the world, going to Germany and Sweden and Great Britain a couple different times, and being able to travel all over the US meeting you guys. And I'm really sorry for those of you who we didn't get to meet, but I think that this next chapter is evolving into something that's going to be really great, because I think everyone's going to be able to be kind of on the same page now. It's kind of what everyone wishes now. It's not a business anymore. It's just going to be, you know, a bunch of friends. You know, I've been playing with Spoon a good bit. I mean, not so much lately because of work and stuff, but I think there's, you know, always chances for people reuniting and stuff, and I think that's just what everyone wants. So it pains me to say that it's all over, but you know, it's definitely for the best. I think that this is just going to be a awesome new journey for everyone, and I hope everyone sticks around for the ride. But whatever you decide to do in life, I hope that you guys are able to do it with your utmost passion, and that anything that you look to accomplish, you're able to succeed, because it's, you know, life is a crazy thing, and it leads down all sorts of roads and stuff, and I'm totally rambling now. Anyway, guys, I hope I didn't miss anything. I really apologize if I do. See, this is why I'm so gun shy about doing this, is because I feel like I've missed something pretty blatant. But like I said, it's just been crazy, and I do apologize for being bad at my communication over the years. Like I said, I just felt that, you know, staying quiet and letting people just get spun up and read between the lines and speculate was better than putting my hat into the ring, because then it just becomes kind of like a back and forth, dramatic, overhyped kind of thing that it doesn't need to be. So I do apologize that I kind of stayed out of that in that respect, and hopefully this was a big step for me, and hopefully this was me opening up, because I am just kind of thinking as much as I possibly can to do so, which tells you a lot about me emotionally, and just trying to figure out my brain and communication is just all over the place. But man, crazy. It's crazy though. So thank you so much, guys. I really do appreciate it. Make sure that you subscribe to Dan and check out his continual content. I'll be here and around occasionally. And then of course, everyone else that's always been a part of the Creatures is always going to be a sure bet of awesome entertainment, whether it's Cow Chop, whether it's Max, whether it's Sly, whether it's Z and Chilled and everyone else. It's, you know, crazy stuff. So guys, thank you so much. I really do apologize if this was super rambly and not what you were looking for, but it was my best like attempt at trying to explain everything, and hopefully it kind of hit everything. And if it didn't, I do apologize, and I will try and address it at a later date. But thank you so much for sticking around. I love you guys very much, and once again, apologies that it had to come to an end. You know, I messed up, and I also am very proud of what we've done over the years. So we'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching as always, and meow, meow, meow.